And thank you for coming. So today we will do part 2, that is CBCS, which means choice-based credit system. So how many of you are already aware of CBCS? Please raise the hands. I know most would not know, but I just wanted to know if anybody is aware of CBCS. I think front row people must be knowing, so they can raise the hands. So please raise the hands. How many people know about CBCS? Okay, again, I think very few. So some people know. Okay. So I think it's a new topic, and it is very important as well because I think many of us have different professions. Some of us are engineers, doctors, lawyers. Ma'am is there, but all of us are also teachers, and that is why we should be aware of all these things. I know many of you must be feeling that why we need this, but as you can see, many new developments are coming in the field of education, and we need to be aware of them. So CPCS is one of them. Now, coming to what is the need for CBCS, there are certain deficiencies in the classical education system, and let us very briefly look at those deficiencies. Number one, of course, it is a very rigid system, and all of us know this for a fact that it is a very rigid system. Why? Because content is very fixed. Content or curriculum, as you might call it, is very fixed, and we feel that we need to learn only this, and if you learn this, then you know everything. So that is one. The content is fixed. The other thing is the way of learning is also seems fixed, and most of us are focused on a didactic kind of learning where teachers speak and students make notes and go home, read and all that, and so that is the way the learning is in most cases, while there are some practicals and there is some interaction somewhere, but most of the teaching is by the way of didactic lectures, and I think that makes it a bit rigid. Then third is the speed of learning. So we know that, like for example, you may say MBBS course, total duration is 4.5 years, and then 1 year internship, and you might complete the total course in 7 years. But if you take more than that time, then obviously you get out of the system. And same thing happens with other courses as well. So for even UGC courses, can you get the light down? We don't need the light now, I think. Yeah, thank you. So for the UGC also, for every course, they give the maximum number of years that you can take to complete that course, and once you are unable to do it within that span, then basically you won't be given any more chance and you will be pushed out of the system. So I think that is the third important aspect of the current classical education. Fourth, of course, is that you need to do only one stream. So most of the courses, or practically all the courses, are unidisciplinary courses. So there is no interdisciplinary kind of learning, there is no interdisciplinary approach, and you need to learn or read in only that discipline. And so that is another thing that makes it very rigid. The second important point, besides being the rigidity, is that our current methods are focused on teaching. So it is like teacher is delivering some lecture, teacher is delivering some content, and then whatever he or she is delivering, the student is supposed to learn that, and that is where the teaching is done. And this is different from learning, which is actually what the student grasps. So teacher may be teaching something, and that is the end of the story. There is no focus on whether the student is learning at all or not learning, and how much he or she is learning. So focus is on teaching and not on learning. So that is another deficiency of the current system. Then the third deficiency is that we are more and more focused on the differential or discriminatory kind of learning. In law, for example, we dissect every single line and we make meanings out of those. Likewise, in science also, whatever is there, we go into depth. So you do, first of all, if you consider the case of medicine, you do MBBS, and then you specialize into something, maybe you specialize in medicine, and then you further specialize into something, maybe you specialize in heart, and then you specialize in something more. You might do interventional cardiology, or you might be doing orthopedics, and then you specialize only on the knee joint, and so on and so forth. So there is a continuous focus on specialization. So actually the thing gets narrow and narrow, and you keep looking at the fine print more and more. You keep looking at fine print, while the focus comes away from the integrative learning or seeing the big picture. And so we see that nowadays science dominates over humanity, because humanity looks at the big picture, but science looks at the small print, fine print. So that is what is happening. The current education is more and more focused on reading the fine print rather than looking at the big picture. So this is another deficiency of the education that we are used to. This is the classical sort of education. So what is the outcome of, if you go about with this kind of learning, then what happens? You become master of one and jack of none. So basically you know only one and single one thing, and you don't know anything beyond that. And so that is one problem. The problem is that the fields are changing now very fast. We already know that medicine was changing rapidly, but now other fields are also changing. You see the engineering field, and people initially were like, I remember in my father was, at that time IITs were not there, so my father did engineering from Roorkee. And at that time civil engineering was number one. So civil engineering, best people got civil engineering. And then after some time it was mechanical engineering in IITs, especially IIT Kanpur. It was mechanical engineering people wanted to do. And then came an era of electrical, then electronics, then computer science. Now we are beyond computer science, we are into artificial intelligence, data science, and so on and so forth. So we can see that if you consider 1,000 students in engineering now, practically 500 would be taking computer science and selecting one of the fields in computer science. So many of them would be taking, let us say, data science or robotics or something like that. So this is how the field has changed. But has education prepared for these kind of changes? I think that is the big question. Because and the changes now will happen more rapidly. So that is very important to understand. What we are teaching today, maybe 5 years later, it will no longer be relevant. It will completely change and it will be completely useless. So, so that is what I'm trying to say. So the problem with the current approach is you make good only in one, and when the field changes, then you are unable to adapt with the new system, and then the students will face a problem. There will be huge problem of unemployability as well. The other problem with the current approach is that you make no difference between how fast people learn. So there will be people who learn very fast, and they can be advanced learners, and there will be people who are slow learners. So there is a discrimination between fast learners and slow learners. Slow learners are unnecessarily penalized for their slow learning. So then this is another problem, as I said. The third thing I already told you was that you have those time frames, and you have to finish that course within that particular period of time. And if you are unable to do that, then everything is lost. You get zero. That's it. There is no midway thing. You started a course, maybe you did MBBS, you did for 4 years, and then you dropped out for whatever reason. Maybe somebody died, your father who was supporting your education is no longer there. So you might have to leave your education, and you might have to pick another vocation, and meanwhile your 4 years of education will be totally wasted unless you are able to complete the course. So that is another big problem of the current type of education. And the last problem that I discussed a bit yesterday as well is that there is no focus on development of personal skills. So no holistic development of students. We are not teaching soft skills at all. Maybe a lot of us don't even have an idea what soft skill is. And that is why we are not learning those soft skills. And actually these are the soft skills which will not change hard skills will change over a period of time. So whatever hard skill you learn, maybe next 5 years it will no longer be relevant. But whatever soft skill you pick up will be useful to you your whole life. So I think that is another important point about the current approach, and these are the deficiencies of the current system. Now let us look a little bit more closely into what the current system does. And suppose you pick up the STEM stream. STEM, as you might know, is science, technology, engineering, and maths. And suppose you pick up this stream. So what are the skills that you are getting? Of course, you might be trained as doctor, engineer, or something, but what are the real human skills that you are getting? So what you are getting is, one is you are asking your students to think critically. So critical thinking is something that people learn when they do this STEM stream. And basically critical thinking is outcome-based thinking. So whatever you do, you start thinking what will be the outcome, and you start pondering on the outcome, and whether you are able to achieve the outcome you wanted and what kind of outcome you are going to get. This kind of thinking you pick up with this STEM stream and also, of course, problem solving. So you learn how to solve problems, and this particular thing you pick up with this particular stream if you follow, which is basically medicine, engineering, etc. Then the other big discipline is political science. And what you learn from political science, if you learn political science or law, let us put it political science, law, then what you learn, you develop strong analytical skills. Every single line that is there, you learn how to dissect that into single components and understand the meaning of each single component. So you learn you get strong analytical skills, as well as you get good writing skills. So if you look at good lawyers, they will have impeccable English. So they will know how to write the English or whatever way they are communicating. So this is something that you learn with this particular discipline if you pursue this particular discipline. Then coming to management, what you learn in management, you start understanding the human behavior. And so you know how a person will respond in real life, not how he should respond. Moral science will teach you how a person should respond, but management teaches you how actually that person will respond. So it teaches you the human behavior. In other words, it helps you develop the emotional quotient. Unlike a STEM stream, which develops your intelligence quotient, it develops IQ, STEM stream, whereas management strengthens your EQ and as well as communication skills. So benefit of basically pursuing this discipline is that you develop good communication skills as well. Now coming to humanities, which is maybe most underrated these days, but which was at certain point of time, if you look historically, at the time of Renaissance or before, humanities was the most important thing, and you need to know humanity first, have a strong basis in humanities, and only then you could pursue other disciplines like science, STEM, or political science, or any other stream. So at that point of time, there was a huge focus on humanities, and that is why this degree PhD comes, basically Doctor of Philosophy. So it was like based on the humanities stream. So those people were the highest, and others were like below somewhere, or they had to do this stream before doing before becoming masters in other stream. And why is humanities important? So basically, what it teaches you is, it starts making you look at the big picture. So what you do is, you can see small things, small skills that you acquire, you can knit them together into a bigger skill, and you can design think basically. So basically you can design a whole process because you have that integrative capacity. So you are able to design a whole project, you can design a whole new business. So entrepreneurship, if you want to develop, then I think humanities has got a big role in that, if you have to develop, because it teaches you design thinking, and it teaches you how to do the multidisciplinary approach, take elements from different disciplines and knit them together into a cohesive picture. So that is what humanities teaches us. if we don't know that already. And then finally, physical education. And I think even it is rated even lower than humanities, and nobody puts any money on that particular discipline. And but I think it is very important. Number one, because it helps you to make a person who can take quick decisions. That is number one. Number two, and I think most importantly, and which is a very, very important skill, it teaches you resilience. That is how you can take your failure and move on. So if you take any sportsman, and I can give you a bit of my example, because I was a national swimmer and I was selected for pre-Asiad camp also for swimming. So I pursued this discipline for some time, and I can tell you, if you are a topper in some university, topper in some place, then you have this tendency of always succeeding. And that is a bad thing actually, because if you all the time succeed, if you ever face a failure, you are unable to accept the failure, and you face very grave consequences. There could be very severe outcomes of not being able to digest failure. People commit suicide, people do all sorts of things, people leave completely the discipline, they become, they leave the worldly life also, and so on and so forth. So it is very important to face failures in life. And if you are a sportsman, you would know that you can never always come first. So there are situations where you might be coming last or second, third, fourth, whatever. So basically, you do 100 races in a month, in a year, and you might be losing 999 of those races. And so you really fail a lot, and then you learn how to face failure. And I think this is one particular soft skill which our students should have, because every time they're not going to succeed. And we know of historical examples where it took 32 times to conquer this particular temple in Dwarka, and they could not, and then 33rd time they succeeded. So it's like that. So you have to have this attitude of try again, and that will come only when you have this resilience, which is very nicely taught in the physical education or the sports. So I think all these things are very important. While we might just be focused on analytical thinking or problem solving, we just miss out on all other things that are very important. So I think this was the most important point I wanted to tell you, why choice-based credit system has come in place. This is the reason. Because no single discipline is complete in itself. You need to have a mix of all the disciplines if you want to develop the total personality. Otherwise, you will be very one-sided person. So that is the biggest problem. So basically now let us look a bit more closely at choice-based credit system. And as you might see, two things stand out. One is choice and one is credit. So let us first take this credit, because we have talked about choice a little bit, but not about credit. So there are two things. One is credit and one is marks. And of course, majority of us follow the system of marks or percentage-based evaluation system. The problem is that once you go for marks, it focuses on teaching. It has no concept about learning. Whereas credit is all about learning. And I will talk about it more so that you will understand what I mean by that. But difference between credit system and mark system is focused on teaching, and credit system is focused on learning. We want to teach our students, but most importantly, we want our students to learn. If we teach something and they don't learn, then it is totally useless. That's why the learning system is better than teaching system. Focus on learning system is better than focus on teaching. And also, finer benefits that internationally now nobody is looking at marks. Everybody is looking at grades, or they are looking at your, let us say, this is the cumulative GPA, which is again a grade-based system, credit-based system. So they are looking, if you talk to some international student, they will tell you, this is my CGPA, this is my SGPA, this is my this. They will never say, this is my marks. Nobody talks of marks now internationally. So if we adopt this system, then we can also adopt the international system as well. Coming to choice, I already discussed that we need choice because we need to have flexibility in educational systems so that children or students can choose what are the areas they want to focus in addition to their prime or core area. So they might feel that, okay, I'm a little bit weak in humanities, so let me take a course in music, classical music, or maybe painting or sculpture or something, whatever, or even literature. They might want to take a course to improve their integrative sort of learning. And people may feel I'm bad at communication, so let me take a management course. And that way I will talk to other people, that way I will understand the human behavior, and that will help me in future. Even if I become a doctor, if I know a human behavior, and if I know how it works, and if I can communicate nicely with my patients, then it will help me. So I might, although I'm a doctor, I might want to take a management course, and I might want to take a law course because I want to write a lot of papers. So I want to have a good English, I want to have good command on my language, and I want to have a very precise kind of presentation when I make presentations in front of people, or I make write papers. Then I have a very crisp approach to that. So a doctor might want to learn law also, other than the fact that they will also learn ethics, but they might want to learn law. So every discipline might want to learn some other discipline as well to become a holistic or a complete personality. And that is why this choice should be available for people, and it should offer avenues to learn more than the core subject, which might interest the individual or which might improve his personality, his or her personality. So what are the key features of these? It allows students to choose from courses other than the core or major or minor courses. They can choose some other courses, and they can even be, and they can, and not only can, they should be evaluated on these courses as well by using grading system, not by marks but by grading, so that they will overall know whether they could achieve their outcome or not. And then, as I said, cumulative grade point average is the thing that makes people understand the progression, the student progression or performance in various activities. So this CGPA is the more important thing, and that CGPA is calculated on the points and on the credits, credit points. So now let us talk about credit. You know, credit comes from it's a financial term. It is like money. So when your bank says that this much money is credited to you, means you get so much money. And when they say this much is debited from you, you know that this much amount is taken away from your bank. So credit is kind of excuse me, a monetary unit which tells you how much money has come in your bank. Applied to education, what it means is how much education you have acquired in your, let us say, bank of mind, how much education you have acquired, and that is the credit in terms of education. So like money, it can be accumulated, and like money, it can be used also. So suppose you want a degree, so you can say, okay, I have accumulated so many credits. For this degree, I require so many credits. I require, let us say, 20 credits more so that I can get a degree. So ultimately, you can use those credits to get you a degree, to get you a diploma, to get you a fellowship or something, whatever. So basically, idea is that you keep learning, and that learning is converted into credits, and it is stored in your bank. And once you acquire a certain number of credits, you can automatically apply for a degree, a diploma, or fellowship, or something like that. But basically, that is the whole idea. And of course, like money in your bank can come fast or can come slow. Likewise, credits can be rapidly accumulated in your bank of credit, or it can be slowly accumulated. So it depends on your speed. Suppose you are doing some other work, and meanwhile, maybe you are working in a shop, cloth shop, but you are also studying or learning, not studying, learning, and you are accumulating credits. So there may come a point where you may say, okay, I have accumulated enough number of credits, I can now go for a degree subject to passing the evaluation. So with this credit system, important thing is learning, through which you get those, start getting those credits, and passing an evaluation exam, so that you get outcome of that, and you get in terms of credit. So for every learning, there has to be an evaluation, and I think that is the important point. It is not just learning. People are learning here, but they are not getting any credit unless they pass an exam. So that is the difference between learning and teaching and getting a credit. Getting a credit is learning plus passing an evaluation. That is credit. And that credit you can use to get anything, maybe degree, diploma, whatever. And there is also possibility of exiting. Therefore, you accumulate some credits, then you have some other reason, some financial problem, you cannot study any longer, you go and do some job for 1 year, 2 year, whatever, and you exit the system. So you can do the job. Then once you earn enough money, you might want to come again into the system and then continue your course that you were doing. So there is a possibility of multiple entry and multiple exit. So multiple exit and multiple entry. So both are possible with this kind of system, if you have this credit based system. And then, depending on your level, so suppose you have a 12th standard level. So you have a particular credit level. Suppose you do a bachelor's, then your credit level improves. So your credit points are credit level into the number of credits that you earn. So that becomes your credit points. So it depends on what is your credit level, whether it is secondary school education, whether it is 12 pass, whether it is bachelor's, whether it is master's, whatever is your level, that will determine your credit level. I will show a little bit about credit levels also, and that will determine your credit level, and your credit points will depend on credits into credit level. So we will talk about it a little bit later. So I think I already discussed this thing, so I will not repeat it, but basically credit is like money. It is the amount of academic work or learning that you have accumulated and which has been evaluated as well. So evaluation is a very important part of earning particular credit. Now, why grading is better than marks, the old system? Of course, this credit system is more objective. Second is, it focuses on learning rather than mere teaching. Number 3, there is a uniformity in the system. And so, whether you are pursuing a bachelor's in arts or bachelor's in science or whatever, there is an equivalence because you are at the same credit level, and if you earn the same number of credits, you will become equivalent to other disciplines. So that it introduces a broad set of uniformity across the educational spectrum. Also, more importantly and very importantly is that because this system is recognized internationally, so if you follow the system, you can then pursue education internationally as well, and your education will be recognized in international circles as well. So that is another point. And finally, of course, it gives a very good benchmark for the employers to get the good candidates. They will look at your credits, what credits you have earned, and they will decide whether you are useful for their organization, and they will pick you up accordingly. So just to talk a little bit about the prevalent credit system, many places in India already have credit system. There is one UGC system, and I've just described the UGC system, and then there is a system followed by IIT. But I think what has happened is now is that people have decided to have a uniform system, and that is National Credit Framework, NCRF. So NCRF aims or attempts to unite all the credit systems that are available all across the country, whether it is a UGC system, whether it is IIT system, whether it is AICTE system, wherever credit system is followed. Now at moment it is very chaotic. Somebody follows some system, somebody some system, somebody some system, how many credits, nobody knows exactly. So what government has decided is to unify all the systems and make one common system, and that is National Credit Framework. And so that is important because, for example, if you take UGC, UG says 60 hours is equal to 1 credit. But IIT says something else. There are some places which say 15 hours is equal to 1 credit. So there is a lot of discrepancy across different disciplines. I think AICT says that 15 hours is equal to 1 credit. So again, there is a lot of confusion. So what NCRF has decided to do is to have a common system. It says 30 hours of learning with evaluation. I think pay notice on all the points. 30 hours learning, not teaching, and with evaluation. That is equal to 1 credit. This is what now NCRF is proposing, which is the national body. And I think we need to follow this system now. And now you might be talking, I'm talking of learning, not teaching. So what is the difference between teaching and learning? So why am I again and again saying learning and not teaching? Because the previous system was based only on teaching. So what is teaching? Teaching is, the process is what teacher teaches. So what only those things will be counted which teacher has delivered from the podium, or which teacher has delivered to the students. Only that thing counts, and that is teaching. But learning is what student has grasped. So teaching is only by the teacher, but learning is not only by the teacher, but let us say you do a homework. So even homework is learning, and of course it has to be supervised by the teacher, it has to be checked by the teacher. If you do some revision periods, again supervised. If you even do exams, because exams itself is a lot of learning, because when you give exams you understand many things you don't know, and many things you have to ponder on once you do the exam. So giving exam itself is learning. And I think people who now go for NEET and those kind of exams, JEE mains, will very well know. That is why they solve those sample papers, 100 sample papers, 200 sample papers, 500 sample papers. They are now given by National Testing Agency. NTA gives about 500 sample papers to people who are appearing for NEET or for JEE mains. And why do they do that? Because this is a very good way of learning, of knowing what are your deficiencies, and then you can go back and fix those deficiencies. So even exam is learning. Giving an exam is also learning. So learning is, as now you may see, is very different from mere teaching. Teaching is only a small part of learning. And therefore, and learning is, of course, only on the core areas, teaching. Whereas learning is many cases, by co-curricular activities, by extracurricular activities, by sports also. You learn the skills of resilience, you learn the skills of making quick decisions. So even playing sports is learning, but it is not teaching. So that is the difference between teaching and learning. I hope I'm very clear now. And of course, teaching happens within that 9 to 5 time of the classes. But learning happens even beyond that. If you do 1 hour of yoga in the morning, that is learning, as long as it gets evaluated. So whatever you do has to be supervised and evaluated. Then it becomes learning. So that is what learning is. And what are the outcomes of learning? Once you go for learning, then 4 things change. Number 1, you may of course acquire a new knowledge that even teaching will give you. Then you may also acquire a new skill. But learning will also give you a new attitude or a value, and it will also change your behavior. Teaching might not change your behavior. Teaching might not change your attitude. But learning will do all these 4 things. So that is why learning is very important. So that is why there is focus on learning in the NCRF, which is National Credit Framework. And it has given an example of how you creditize things. So 30 credits is equal to 30 hours of learning is equal to 1 credit. Every semester you need to earn 20 credits minimum. You can always earn more than that, but minimum you need to earn 20 credits if you want to remain in the system. If you cannot earn 20 credits, then you might want to go out of the system, and then later on when you are able to earn 20 credits, you can come back in the system. So you can go for exit option if you are unable to earn even 20 credits in one semester. So 20 credits per semester, 40 credits per year. For a full 4-year degree course, 160 credits. So this is the minimum requirement. If you can do more than this, you are an advanced learner, and that is very good. If you do less than this, then maybe you don't want to stay in the system and you exit out of the system and come back whenever you are able to do these 40 credits. So, I think moving beyond this, I just wanted to see if everybody is okay. Any questions at this stage? So we can have a short question answer session so that we understand what we are talking about. Any queries anywhere so far, we can discuss, and then I think we will move forward. So anybody? So that A, B, C, D is grade. So based on number of credits you get, you might get a grade. So instead of marks, they are grading. And then according to those grades, the credit is something absolute. Grade is relative. You can get A, B, C, D. Credit is absolute. So grade helps you calculate the CGPA, cumulative grade point average. But credit is like requirement for passing that course. Then how good you pass that course will be determined by grade. Whether you passed or not will be determined by credit. Sir.
Sir, good afternoon.
Sir.
Sir, the very system is flawed, right from our schooling system, the MBBS system. If you are looking at credit system, then the whole system what we are following here, MBBS itself is, so provided we have a flexibility with MNC, then we can follow the credit system. The student basically should be undergo an aptitude test. Then according to his aptitude, his area of interest should be focused. He should be skilled in the area of interest. If the person is, as he joins in first year, if he wants to pursue in anatomy itself, so his skill can be developed in anatomy itself. So all his credit points can go in anatomy. Whatever you want, he can accumulate credits in anatomy, and then he can even pursue postgraduate studies in that. Or if he wants to do any other paramedical or the clinical subject. So what NEP we are integrating here is just a lateral thing which only to satisfy the NEP program by taking some music and some art or some other sports activity will not add much to his career-centric focus. Basically, it should be, I feel, it should be creative-based teaching and learning-centric program. Thank you.
Sir, I think very good point, and you made this point again about the MBBS curriculum being fixed, which we had discussed yesterday as well. Maybe you were not there yesterday, so we discussed it at some length. What I wanted to say was, number one, that whatever is given by NMC is the minimum standard requirement. So this is the minimum requirement. This you need to do if you want to become a doctor. That is number one. Now, if you want to pursue something else beyond this minimum requirement, then you can choose something from elective. The objective of giving so much choice is so that we don't want to say that force anybody anything. We want to say, okay, which is the thing that interests you? But definitely you have to pick one of these, but whatever interests you. If music interests you, fine. If management interests you, fine. If law interests you, ethics interests you, fine. You take whatever you want. So that is the choice that is being offered. It is not only for the sake of paper. I have discussed with you the philosophy of the whole concept. The philosophy is that if you become a plain doctor, you will be good in problem solving, but you may not be good in communication. You may not be good in putting it in the larger perspective. Like, for example, when COVID happened, we were not treating one patient only. We were treating the whole community. We were looking at the community problem. So we required a big picture. So if we left it only to, let us say, super specialists like me, like DM cardiology, then how will I treat COVID? I will have no idea. So that is why you need to have an integrative approach when faced with these kind of situations. Obviously, people will say that we want to become this and we don't want to do anything else, and that is but natural. But as a teacher, we need to understand that if they follow this one system only, then there will be serious deficiencies at many level. So we should give them opportunity to cover up one or more of these deficiencies. So that is the idea. Idea is not that just give them something and just do the paperwork and that is the end of it. The whole philosophy behind this is that they should also benefit by something which will add on to their personality. So that is why we have said that health science people should not take, like for example, medicine should not take elective of pharmacy, because already they are being trained in medicine. So they have to take from some other discipline which is not health science, and that way they will pick up new soft skills. So idea is whether inadvertently or indirectly, at least they go and pick up those skills. So that is the idea. And again, saying that although I understand that medicine course is very tough, but I know that after finishing this course, people go home and do nothing. So if they do, let us say, 1 hour of yoga, so at least they get into this physical education thing. At least they start, focusing on something else. And that may not be during the study time. Outside the study time, they can do. If they participate in certain debates, they learn the communication skills and they learn how to present themselves. If they participate in poster making, let us say, for example, then they design that whole poster from beginning based on a concept. So they learn design thinking. So that is why these things are important. While as a doctor, we might think they are not necessary and they are just for the sake of implementing NEP, as you said, or just for the sake, because Nims is saying that we have to do this, so we are doing this. So I just wanted to, that's why I'm having this meeting to try to make you convinced that this is not mere paperwork that we are trying to do. We are really trying to help our students, help them acquire them some soft skills which might help them later in the life. Does it answer, sir, your question? You're still skeptic, I think. No, I think a fair degree of skepticism has to be there. But I mean, I wanted all of us to understand the motive why we are doing all this. It is not mere doing NEP or pleasing somebody or XYZ. It is also that it is in line with what good will happen and what was there in, if you look at now in NEP, one part is traditional Bharat Parampara. So traditional Bharat Parampara. And what is that traditional Bharat Parampara? It's a Gurukul thing. And what is a Gurukul thing? It is an experiential learning, not mere theoretical learning. It is an experiential learning with the Guru and holistic learning. So Guru is not only teaching that thing, they are teaching so many other things as well. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 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 So that will anyway happen, sir. That will anyway happen. Yeah. But he did not stop anybody from not doing Gada. He just showed them all the things, and maybe Bhim chose Gada and Arjun showed Tir Kaman and so on. So likewise, we have to show our students all the possibilities and they might choose. We might guide them in their choices, of course. We might tell them that you are not good in Gada, so maybe you go for bow and arrow and that kind of thing. But ultimately, I think the choice is that it is offered to the students.
I just have one more doubt.
Yeah.
That we are asking the students to attend 75% of theory classes and 80% of practice classes. And here, on the other hand, there is a credit system which calculates the number of hours spent and converted into one credit. So, do we have to follow the credit system here also? That means we are just having a number of theory classes in a subject, and we just calculate according to the hours spent and 75% yes or no whether the student is eligible.
So that is the old system.
Old.
What we are doing is that is focused on the teaching. What we are doing is converting this system into a learning thing, where the teaching may be, let us say, 75% or 50%, 50% may be self-learning or examination. So all those things together will make, so what number of hours that we have in teaching will always be less than learning hours. That is why they have asked 15 hours of teaching is maybe equal to 30 hours of learning, because 15 hours they may learn at home, they may do revision, they may give exams, they may have some viva or something, and then that will make up the total 30 hours of learning.
We are going to adopt this system here in
We are basically having the old system is in place, but simultaneously we are looking at the new system. So we are not completely switching, because we want to be good with NMC and all those things, but at the same time we want our students and our teachers to know the modern system, and whenever NMC switches over to this system, we are already prepared, because we are already following this system. So we will have a dual system.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So we are not abandoning any existing system, we are just adopting a new system as well. That is the thing. Yeah.
I am coming from environmentology and blood transfusion. So as part of our syllabus also there is thesis and all. So can we have electives like biostatistics or research methodology? Can we have electives like that, or like it should be entirely from different discipline like management law, like that?
So if you go in the same discipline, you will only learn some set of skills. You will never have the exposure to all set of skills. Idea of this system is to make exposure to all types of skills. So there are two types of courses. Please, I will tell you, there are two types of things, and we will come to that. Some are generic and some are discipline specific. So we will have two types of programs. One which is generic, means you choose from one of them, multidisciplinary, and one are from the same discipline. And I will give you examples, just wait. But we will have a mix of both. But definitely we need something more than just plain the discipline, for the reasons I told you. So, that is the problem, because people think only our discipline, and they're not thinking of benefits of other disciplines, and that is the whole issue. That is exactly the issue, that if you select only your discipline, then you will be good only in one thing. You will never get a holistic kind of education that is necessary. That is the basic thing. While you may think that your discipline is very good and that is the best discipline in the world, but reality is that every discipline has certain deficiency, and only when you have exposure to multiple disciplines, you can become a holistic individual. Does it answer you or no?
Sir, as you said, like discipline is good or bad. There are two things. One is disciplinary electives and one is open elective.
Yeah, exactly.
So discipline will take disciplinary.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell him. I think you go over and tell him what you are saying. Thank you so much. That's what exactly I'm also saying.
Bhagavad Gita is like an open elective which anybody can take.
So any further questions? Because I think the more we spend here, the more time we will spend. So if there is no pressing question, I think we will move forward. Okay? All right. We will come to that, sir. Don't worry. We are coming to that. So now we are introducing certain concepts: major, minor, elective. So these are three things you might be hearing again and again. Major, and then beyond this, there are two things. One is core subject and one is non-core or generic. So core subject is a subject or an area which, if you have chosen, you have to complete. So you cannot pass your certificate or degree or diploma without doing the core subjects. So that is fixed part. That is mandatory part, core subjects. And core subject can be major and they could be minor. So for example, simple example, a person who is doing, let us say, electrical engineering, So the core subject is electrical engineering. But besides that, the person is also doing physics, chemistry, maths, or something, general engineering. So those are minors. Core subject will be electrical engineering, and these other related subjects will be minor. So this is how it is. I mean, this is example is good for engineering. So what is recommended is that core subject minimum for a degree you should have 80 credits for the major and 40 credits for the minor. And as I said, for a 4-degree course, you need to have 160 credit. So you can have, let us say, 80 credit major, 40 credit minor, and 40 credit something else, which could be a generic elective. Electives are those subjects which may relate to the core subjects or which may not relate to core subjects, but they can help you. So this is the thing. And I think I will not go into it because I already discussed. Major is, normally it is defined as minimum of 80 credits and minor is 40 credits. Core versus electives, I already said. Core is something which if you don't do, you will not get your degree. Electives is something which you can choose. So if you are doing electrical engineering, you may choose artificial intelligence also, and that can become elective. But that is elective related to discipline. Discipline is specific elective. But there could be something, if you choose music, that can be discipline, non-discipline or generic elective. So electives can be of two types. One could be related to your discipline and one could be not related to your discipline. And we'll come to that as well. So as I said, discipline is specific elective and generic elective. And in between, you can have the project work also, which is also discipline specific elective in general, but it involves some kind of design thinking. So that is also a good idea. This is the example of UGC electives. So UGC gives discipline is specific elective course, and this is the composition. Then it also has the dissertation or project, and then it also has generic elective credit. And this is how UGC gives. I'm not going into detail because all this is going to change, and it will change depending on what NCRF is giving. But this is what is existing now. And that is the whole reason why NCRF has come in, because there is so much differences among different places. The UGC has different way. AICT completely, has these terms, but they use it differently. So for them, minor may mean something else, elective may mean something else. For UGC, elective may mean something else. And so there is a bit of confusion. And that is why NCRF has come to basically make a common sort of thing. I just wanted to show you because there is a lot of discrepancy already. And then UGC has ability enhancement course. So that is one. And that ability enhancement can be compulsory course like environmental science and then communication course. And it has value-added courses, which is a skill enhancement course also. So they have this definition of ability enhancement course, skill enhancement course, which can enhance, again, discipline-specific skills or life skills. So again, everywhere this is the same thing. It can be generic or it can be discipline-specific. It can be skill enhancement, it can be knowledge enhancement. So these are the kind of electives that you get. And 4 types of value-added courses can be there. They can be extracurricular, then it can be curricular, which involves professional skill with teamwork. Then there could be career enhancement courses, and then can be technology and society courses. So again, 4 types of value-added courses given by UGC, but these are just examples. Please don't get confused because they will confuse you very much. Just know that these are the things that are given, and we might be moving away from them, but they are like what they were. So a UGC gives this essential criteria for 4-degree course. Now again, some people say major should be 80, UGC is saying 84. Some people say minor should be 40, here UGC is saying elective should be 48 credits, and so on and so forth. So there is slight difference. IIT says something, UGC says something, AICT says something, and I'm sure law also says something. So there is a lot of confusion, and that is why NCRF has come in to make it a combined thing. And that is what I said, between UGC and NCRF. UGC has no clear correlation. They had 30-hour credit, but now what NCRF is saying, any level can be equal, and they include not only curricular, but curricular plus co-curricular and extracurricular as well. So every type of learning is considered by NCRF, unlike UGC, which is concerned with only curricular type of courses. And then calculation of outcomes. This is just an example. Again, I mean, you just need to know how to convert marks into grades, and then how to convert into grade points as well. So this is the usual thing. So if you earn greater or equal to 90%, then you get a grade of outstanding and you get a grade point of 10. But if you get below 40%, you get a grade of F and you get a grade point of 0. So this is how it is. So now you can easily convert your marks into grades using this particular system. And therefore, what we will have is, where we have marks, we will continue to have marks, but we will also convert them into grades, so as to follow the NCRF policy. And this is again same thing, the grade and the grade point. And then we have this grade point average for the students. Of course, for one semester, the calculated is SGPA, but for the whole program, calculated will be CGPA. And now you might know that once you are able to convert your marks into grades, then you can get CGPA, SGPA for every semester, and you add up all the semester SGPAs and you get CGPA for the whole program. And that way you become like international university giving a CGPA, which international universities do. And this is the way it is calculated, depending on the grade points and grades, etc. I already told you. I'm just giving an example so that, and I mean, the point is to tell you that it is not that confusing. It is really simple. Marks can easily be converted into grades, and grades can easily be converted into grade points, and then you can calculate SGPA and CGPA. So if we want, we can start implementing the system of SGPA and CGPA. So that is what I wanted. And then we become like international university, which gave a CGPA course. Credit points are, sir, credit points are into basically the grade into how many credits that is having. So suppose, see, as I said, credits are, if you complete a course, you get credit. But if you have to calculate your CGPA, for suppose the credit is 4. Suppose you do one value-added course and you do say yoga, and you get evaluated for that. And let us say you get 40% or let us say 50% in your yoga exam. So credit for the yoga course was 4. Now 40% marks, if you go back, 40% is C, and C is grade point as 5, right? 5 out of 10. So you multiply it with credit and you get the credit point. Now grade point you have calculated. So you got, let us say you got a C, 5. So you multiplied by the credit and you got credit points 20. If you got a grade here, then you would multiply by 10 and you would have got 40. So credit point would be 40. So you will add all the credit points, divide by total number of credit points, and you will calculate your CGPA. It's clear, or any doubts still? No, sir, see, according to percentage you got, you get grade points. And you multiply those grade points, the grade points vary from 0 to 10. So if you get the maximum grade point, you get 10. And suppose the credit for that course is 4. So credit point is 4 into 10, 40. But if you got only 40% mark, the grade you got was C, grade point is 5, and you multiply by 4 and you get 20. So clear now? So I mean, don't bother about it. It's very simple. It is very simple to calculate, and that way you can calculate your SGPA, and later on you can also calculate your CGPA, which is cumulative grade point average. So we can have both kind of mark sheets, the classical mark sheet and the CGPA mark sheet. So I think this is okay. So any further questions at this stage, because this is the final point I will cover, and that will end it. But any clarity is required in any of these points we discussed. Some are already pointed out. Any other thing? Anybody? So this whole thing comes from National Education Policy, as sir said. This was formulated 2020, so it is called NEP 2020. And what it does is, basically, it does many things. It wants to bring the Indian knowledge parampara into the focus. That is one of the aims. Then it wants to offer choice to the students. Choice in terms of content, choice in terms of disciplines, choice in terms of duration, choice in terms of exiting and entering, choice in terms of jumping across disciplines. So you might do bachelor's in arts and then you want to pursue MBBS course. So that is possible. If you do a small bridge course, which could be the NEET entrance exam. So what it means is, I don't know if you know, for example, in United States of America, you might do your undergrad in arts. You might take music and you might take literature, and you might do your undergrad. And then you give one MCAT exam, and if you qualify, you can start doing medicine. So it is not necessary to read biology at all in your bachelor's to qualify for a graduation exam in medicine. This is the example. And this is exactly what India is also trying to think of, that you might do your bachelor's in arts stream, but suppose you want to pursue medicine. So it is possible to jump into medicine if you can clear the NEET exam. So you need to do the bridge course and you can get into that particular program. Or if you might do, let us say, economics, and you might do the JEE mains exam and you might not have taken maths at all. You might do biology course, not take maths at all, but you clear the JEE exam and you can appear and you can become an engineer. So that is what it means. So it is not dependent on which stream you belong to. You can jump your streams as well. You can jump from arts to medicine, arts, or you may jump from medicine to different stream. For example, in US, you know example of Bill Gates, who did medicine and then he switched over to engineering. He just left medicine, he said not interesting enough, and went into engineering. So that was possible. And by the way, Bill Gates was got 1,600 out of 1,600 in his paper. So he scored the full mark. And that was, he was pursuing medicine, but he got in English and maths. 800 in English, 800 in maths. And then he switched over to engineering. So this is possible in US, and that is the whole idea of NEP as well, that you can jump your disciplines. It does not, if you are bachelor's, you could do master's in anything. If you have done 12th, maybe you have not taken maths, but you can get bachelor's in engineering. So that is possible. So this is exactly also what it means. Then there are certain other interesting things also in NEP. For example, it talks of experiential learning. So you did 12th, your father had a clothes shop, you sat in that clothes shop for 10 years, and then you suddenly decided, I want to do, let us say, master's in management, MBA. So you have not done BBA, but you're sitting in that cloth shop. If you can give an exam of BBA using that experience, and if you can clear that exam, then you can take MBA. So it is not necessary to pursue that 4-year course of BBA to get into MBA. So that is also one of the envisions of the NEP program, that you can even if you can creditize the experience, because that is experiential learning, then you can get into the system again. So that is exactly what it means. So anyway, I think it's a very long thing, and I talked a lot of things about it: multiple entry, multiple exit, and basically including all kinds of learning, whether it is coming from curricular, co-curricular, or extracurricular, getting everything, credit for everything, to build up your credit score to get a particular certificate, diploma, or a degree, depending on the minimum requirements. If you can follow the minimum requirements, you can get the thing. So basically, to summarize, these are the objectives. You can get a skilling, like for sitting in the diploma in your father's cloth shop is a skill, but you can use this to get this vocational skill to get a academic degree. So from vocational skill, you can jump into academic degree, and from degree, you can jump into skills, and so on and so forth. So all this kind of mix match, and then recognition of prior learning. This is experiential learning you had in, maybe you were a motor mechanic, and then you wanted to get into IIT. So you could get that bachelor's degree, and then you can pursue MTech in some IIT, just being a motor mechanic somewhere, if you are able to clear the exam. So this is the whole beauty. So I think I also covered this National Credit Framework to some extent, and it has got components like curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, and even experiential kind of learning. So this is what is the idea of National Credit Framework, and this is also its vision, that you can use all kinds of learnings. Number one. Number two, you can get credits from them, whether it is an academic credit or from a skill program or from an experience. So basically what it says is that learning is lifelong, and there can be a horizontal and a vertical mobility. There can be recognition of prior learning. There could be possibility of multiple entry, multiple exit. There could be flexibility for students in choosing what they want to do, and there can be a continuous professional development that way. So as I said, suppose, let us say I join an MBBS course, and I was supported by my, let us say, my uncle, and he was paying for my education. Mid-course, uncle had met some unfortunate circumstance. Now nobody can pay my fees. Now what can I do? Either I have to drop out, and I will drop out permanently. So what I can do is, if I have this system, I can drop out for 2 years, maybe join army, make some money by exiting. So there is an exit exam where I have to do 20 marks more, 20 credits more, and I can exit the system. And then I can make money. And after 3 years, I have enough money. Now I come back again to school after giving a bridge course. And I again enter the school and complete my course. So this is multiple exit and multiple entry. So many times I can exit the system and I can re-enter the system, depending on my convenience. So that is what I mean by multiple exit manner. Any other questions? I think sir is very alive, so he's asking so many questions, but that is good. So any other things anybody doesn't understand? Because I think it's a good opportunity. I know that it is, you might be feeling that you don't need all this, but again I have to say that if you are a doctor, then you treat one patient. But if you are a teacher, you bring out 100 doctors who can treat thousands of patients. So you impact more lives by being a teacher. That is why it is important. Being in a teaching profession, these things, we have to know what are the recent advances. And as I said, I am a DM in cardiology. I don't need to do all this. But the reason is that because we are in this position, it is our duty, it is our responsibility to know about it. That is why I have also spent some time out of my discipline into all this. So it is not complete humbug. It is, I think, very, very important, because if we don't understand, our students will also not get this. So first we have to understand, then our students will know what we are talking about. So I am very happy sir is asking so many questions, and thank you so much, sir. Anybody else, please be free to ask any question. It is really important for our role as a teacher, if you consider yourself as a teacher. So anybody? Nobody, I think. Somebody wants to ask something or no? Sir, the framework exists, which means there is no regulation at the moment. So it is not regulation. Regulation means it is mandatory. National Medical Council is a regulatory body. So means it is mandatory. A framework means it is given that you might do or you might not do, but it is advisable you do. So now National Credit Framework says they are recommending that you should follow it. But it is not mandatory. If you think it is important, you follow. They recommend very strongly that you should follow. At certain point of time, it might become a regulation. At the moment, it is a framework. Sir.
They have suggested this thing, and we are following because we want our students to get exchange under the exchange program. Likewise, the same thing to be followed, sir. If we want to come up.
Yeah, see, our thing, sir, from the university perspective, I can tell you, the policy is that we are not going to antagonize any regulatory body, but on the top of that, if we can implement something which is good for our students, which is futuristic, which will help our students and also our teachers. See, you are not wasting your time here. If you go to some other university, these things might be very valuable. If ever you go to some other universities, because then you can become the leaders and you can tell them how it has to be done. So this is not something which is very useless for teachers. Of course, it is important because the students will be benefited. But even for personal growth, it is very important. Sir.
I have two small questions. One is, you said learning time will also be counted in credits. Like 30 hours means 15 hours of teaching and it could be 15 hours of learning.
Whatever.
So how are we going to track that learning time? And another thing is, probably you touched upon that, the difficulty level of the course is no way considered in allotting credits. You mentioned school level and other in one slide. So,
I will come to that, sir. So there are levels, and depending on the level of credit, so there is credit, the credits, there is credit point, and there is credit level. So credit level is a certain level. It could be a secondary school level, then the multiplication of credits with that particular level points will be less. But it could be a bachelor's level when that will be more. It could be a master's level when that multiplication factor will be even more. And it could be a doctoral level when it could be even more. So the difficulty will also depend on that particular level. So I will come to that. I hope I am able to do this today. So, but anyway, yeah. Learning hours are always more than the teaching hour, because what you teach, people might go home, do homework, think, and if you can basically evaluate that thing, then it becomes a credit. Ultimately, it is the total amount spent by the student on learning something, whether if it is evaluated. So that is the main thing. So again, we come to the same point. Credit is recognition that learner has completed the particular course. So that is the credit that you can get. Then credit level is according to level of education. And I think I will show you again, but according to level of education. And credit point is multiplication of credit level with the credit. And that is the credit point. So here are the levels. Now you can see the levels start from, you can see 7 year, less than 4 year, and likewise. So it starts from, the basic level, then the school level, secondary school level, higher school level, and then bachelor's level, and then you move up and up and up, and you keep moving up. So that this is the total thing, and these are the particular levels that you have. So for example, if you take simply school education up to class 12. So up to class 5, the level is only 2. By class 8, it is 3. By class 10, 3.5. And by class 12, the credit level is 4. And suppose the credits you earned at this level is 4, then the credit points will be 4 into 4 at class 12 level. But suppose you move up, you get into first year UG program, then level is 4.5. Second year UG program, level is 5. Third year UG program, 5.5. So same 4 credits at UG level 3 will have higher degree, so it will get multiplied by 5.5. Because that course, that subject is of a higher understanding, and therefore the credit level is higher, and therefore the credit points that you get out of it will be higher. If you move beyond into PG level, then it will be 7 or more, and then PhD level is 8. Credit level is 8. So these are the credit levels. I hope it is clear now. And then what you can do is you can store these credits in your academic bank of credit. So you will have academic bank of credit depending on your credit points that you get, which is multiplication of credits into your level of credit level. You get the credit points, and those you can store in your academic bank of credit. And it can be said, if you accumulate 160 credit points, then maybe you will get a degree, something like that. So this is how it will work. And so it is also possible that you do part of your course in one university, and then you move to Harvard and complete another 2 years from Harvard. But the credits you earn in Nims University will be carried forward to the Harvard University also, so to the final degree. So they don't need to do a 4-year program in Harvard now, because they have done 2 years here, earned those credits, carried those credits forward in academic bank of credit, finished the course from some other university by getting the total number of credits, and then you can get the degree. So this is the beauty of this academic bank of credit, that you can start from one university, move on. Suppose a lady gets married, I think very important, very easy to understand. So some lady is working or studying in Nims, let us say 4th year program, and then she gets married and moves to Lucknow and joins another university there. So does she need to do the whole course, or she can carry her credits which she earned here at Nims into her Lucknow University and finish the course from Lucknow University? So that is the beauty of academic bank of credit. And exit module, I already told you, everywhere if you exit, you give an exit module, and when you re-enter, you give a bridge course. So this is what you do, and you can always enter and exit whenever you want. So I think advantages of NCRF I've already discussed with you. One is that you can move from different streams, from the knowledge stream into vocational stream, into just business, back from business into vocational stream, into educational stream. So whatever, that is one. Then you can creditize all your learning, whether it is curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, experiential, and you can keep proceeding forward. And there could be mobility between different courses, and there will be a lifelong learning possibility by multiple exit and multiple entry programs. Student-centric, and so on and so forth. Very good for slow learners, fast learners, academic bank of credit. Also for handicapped people, when they have difficulty learning, they can follow the slow mode and get those credits. Now, coming to our university specifically, suppose we implement this choice-based credit system, how will it be advantageous for us? And so you see, these are the things, and these are the NAC points. If we are able to implement this CBCS, you can see we can get a lot of NAC points in these different areas. You can bring standardization, you can implement NEP, you can implement sustainable development goals. CBCS will also help. And so actually 23% of the points can be got, 1/4 of the NAC can be tackled just by implementing this CBCS system. I have calculated it, and nearly 1/4 of the points are just for implementing this choice-based credit system. If you are able to implement this, we get 1/4 points straight away for NAC. So I think that is one important thing, and this is just some of those parameters I have read. You remember there were 125 parameters, and we can address so many parameters just by one thing. So I think it is very important from that point of view also. Now, how can we implement CBCS? And I've just given an example. What we can do is we can have the core courses which can be given a credit of 160. Then we can have electives, which can be another 20 credits, ability enhancement course, which can be 20 credits. And so we can have a total of a minimum 160, but about 200 credits for maximum, which people can take if they want within one course, 4-year course. So this is, I think, we can do, and it will benefit us by offering electives, which is very good for our students. We will also become international by implementing this SGPA, CGPS course. We will also get international students if they want to come here, or students from other universities want to come here. If we implement this academic bank of credit, then we can use credits from other universities to give the final degree also. And of course, we can store all the credits in Nims DigiLocker. So this is will be the benefit. And then I've just given an example. I'll very quickly run through how you can offer those credits, electives, which I said 20 credits you can offer. And so they can be discipline-specific credits. For health sciences, MBBS student can be offered some small course in Ayurveda, biomolecule, bioinformatics, genetics, immunology, molecular biology, biomedical waste management, climate change, and biotechnology. So they are health science related electives. So there are some discipline-specific electives, and there could be generic electives. So this is some discipline-specific electives. So this is for health science. But of course, it is very important to really creditize them. We should offer a small exam where they can pass the exam and then they can get the credit. So this is, I think, important thing. Then also they can do a lot of research projects which can also be creditized. So for example, for health science, they can do field surveys for vaccination, home remedies, child and mother care, best health practices, diet and food supplements, healthcare marketing, quality of health services, and so many projects they can do. Likewise, management people can do so many projects: market survey of electrical cars, market survey of artificial intelligence, digital marketing, advertising, so on and so forth. So these are all the surveys that they can do, which is discipline-specific surveys, and based on those surveys, you can creditize them also. So they can get, these can be part of electives. Then engineering surveys for alternate source of energy, biomedical waste management, climate change, e-waste management, water recycling. So they can be some engineering surveys. And then law surveys, legal needs survey, perception of police performance, criminal victimization survey, resident views about crime, gender sensitization surveys, human rights surveys. So these are the things or research projects that can be very easily done by our students, which will help them understand what projects are. And then there can be some generic, as I said, discipline specific and generic. So generic can be their research methodology courses, statistics courses, management skills, computer applications, financial skills, humanities, ethics, Indian constitution, life skills, and physical education. And as a matter of fact, we have implemented some of these electives, and we are already doing them, hoping that people get these multidisciplinary knowledge and information. But again, it is important to assess them. Only then they will be creditized. So we have to have an assessment exam for them, and then we need to issue certificates, and these certificates need to be uploaded. By the way, we will issue certificate for this FDP also. So please be sure to get your certificate for FDP, and that will be counted for performance appraisal and for so many other things. So please do that. No, it is basic, sir. Very basic. We will have one basic course on AI also, where people will just get a basic idea of what AI is and how it can be applied. But it is not, see, all these things, generic electives are pretty basic 12 plus level. So any 12 plus can understand. If you give a very high level, then nobody will understand. How will medicine person understand a computer science, artificial intelligence? So, so it is computer application. Anybody more than 12th can do chosen medicine, but can do. So can take these electives. That is the whole idea. Then ability enhancement courses. And in here we have offered some co-curricular activities also as electives. So they can choose a maths club, chess club, music club, theater, literary society, art society, NSS, and basically get an assessment of these, and then they can get a credit. They can enter these competitions, ideathons, hackathon, Olympiads, talent shows, extempore, and if they get some appreciation award or some award, then it is already creditized. So it gets creditized very simply. So this is I'm just giving an example of how we can creditize certain things, and then they can play these sports, and if they enter a district level, state level, win some award, then it has already got, assessment has been done. If you get into state level means you are assessed as something, so you get a credit out of it. So you can have very simply have these credits as well, which can be added to your thing. So you can see that while core credits are only 160, you can add these credits from different areas, and you can have 200 or more credits actually. Which 20 credits, maybe 40, maybe extra, which can be used for your later education because it goes into academic bank of credit. So this way it works. And then there are skill enhancement courses as well for health science, simulation lab, then BLS, basic life science course, ACLS, CPR course, and for non-health science, again, labs, and they can do life-saving courses as well, CPR courses, etc., which anybody can do, and if they get a assessment, then they get a certificate. And then some value-added courses. We already have a list of value-added courses. Hopefully, it was circulated among everybody. So this is the way we will kind of operationalize. We have already started operationalizing. Part of it is done. Dr. Shantanu is involved in it. Madam is there. Dr. Kulwal, she's there. Madam Deepika is there. She's already working hard with operationalize these. And I'm sure many others are there who are working here. I just named few. So with this, I will end. Thank you so much. And any questions? I tried not to bore you, but I thought it was very important. If we are teachers, then we need to know these things, unfortunately, or fortunately. That is the thing. Or if you are okay, then have a good evening. Thank you.